Have you ever really stopped to think about how we went from baking our own bread every single day to just microwaving a full meal in minutes? Well, today we're going to do just that. We're digging into a whole century of American food, tracing the wild path from the farm to the fast food lane, all to see what our plates really say about our lives. And really, this is the whole idea for our explainer today. You see, food isn't just fuel to get you through the day. It's like a mirror, reflecting our economy, our technology, even how our families work. Seriously, every bite tells a story. And today, we're going to unpack 100 years worth. So, we're going to time travel through three really distinct eras. Our first stop, a 1900s kitchen, where from scratch wasn't a choice, it was the only option. Then we'll fast forward to the post-war boom of the 50s, which was kind of the golden age of the family dinner. And finally, we'll land in the 90s, where the drive-thru and the microwave totally redefined what mealtime even meant. Okay, let's dive into our first era. This period really sets the stage, and it shows a food landscape that is so different from ours, it's almost hard to imagine today. I want you to just picture this for a second. Pretty much every single meal was an all-day project. Bread wasn't something you just bought, it was a daily, arm-aching chore. And meat? That was a rare luxury, not a given. The diet was simple, for sure, but it was fueled by hours and hours of relentless daily labor. And this captures the very first tremor of a massive shift. The rise of factories in the 20s didn't just reshape our cities, it completely transformed the kitchen. All of a sudden, you could buy pre-sliced bread and canned soup. The first refrigerators were just starting to flicker to life, and the very idea of convenience was born. But just as technology was dangling this promise of an easier life, bam, the Great Depression hit and everything changed. That slow march towards convenience didn't just stop in its tracks, it got thrown into reverse. Food was no longer about tradition or even taste, it was about survival, plain and simple. Diets were stripped down to the absolute bare essentials: beans, potatoes, whatever you could get that was cheap. Soup kitchens became a common sight, and wasting even a single crumb was just unthinkable. And you have to remember, this experience would shape how an entire generation thought about food for decades. But of course, that era of scarcity didn't last forever. After all the struggles of the Depression and World War II, America entered this golden age of prosperity, and you could see it right there on the dinner table. You see, the post-war economic boom totally reshaped the American landscape, and the kitchen was right at the heart of this huge transformation. For the first time, most households had not just refrigerators, but electric stoves and this growing arsenal of kitchen gadgets, and crucially, the income to keep them all stocked. And honestly, nothing captures this new obsession with technology and ease quite like the TV dinner. It was a complete marvel of food science, a whole balanced meal that went from the freezer to the oven to the coffee table with almost zero effort. It was way more than just a meal. It was a symbol of a modern, forward-looking America. With refrigerators becoming a staple in just about every home, the family dinner turned into this cherished ritual. And having a big roast at the center of the table wasn't just about food anymore. It was a powerful, visible symbol of success. It was a tangible piece of the American dream. But that post-war boom, it set the stage for a totally new kind of revolution. As we move into the later part of the century, the quest for convenience kicks into overdrive, and that creates new habits and also new anxieties about what we were actually putting in our bodies. The trend here is just unmistakable. As life got faster, with the explosion of fast food and more women joining the workforce, the amount of time people actually spent cooking just plummeted. Convenience went from being a novelty to an absolute necessity. We weren't really cooking anymore. We were just reheating. And this all led to a strange national paradox. On one hand, we were embracing processed foods and microwave meals like never before. But at the exact same time, we were getting more and more suspicious of what was in that food, which led to the rise of diet culture and the whole low-fat craze. The kitchen literally became a battleground between our desire for ease and our growing anxiety about our health. So, after this century-long food journey, what's the big takeaway? What does this story really tell us about who we are? Well, three key themes really stand out. First, our relentless, almost obsessive quest for convenience. Second, the evolution of food from being a simple source of energy to a complex and, let's be honest, often confusing source of anxiety. And finally, this powerful idea that our food culture is a direct reflection of our history, a tangible record of our booms, our busts, and our ever-changing values. From home-baked bread to a meal in a box, the American plate tells a truly dramatic story of change. And it leaves us with a pretty compelling question. As we navigate a world of meal kits, plant-based everything, and instant delivery, what kind of story will our plates tell 100 years from now?